Good morning. Naima Singletary here, BillionDollarCourage.com. Today is Monday, June 13th. And if I look a bit fatigued and sort of just rolling out the bed, is because I am fatigued and I did just roll out of the bed. This weekend was very emotional for me, and there was a lot of movement of just stuff. Because I'm researching and I'm self-discovering again. um, and so there was just a lot that happened for me, and I had the message that I want to share this morning, and that I hope moves you to the next step of your growth in your life, is because of some movement and some realizations that I had over the weekend. Primarily yesterday, I attended a workshop called Food and Feeling, and the discussion was about the anatomy of a binge and the physical or the feeling in the body when a person wants to binge. The group was facilitated by Dr. Julie Motz, and you might want to Google her if you live in California, Northern California. You might want to attend one of her workshops. She has two. One is Food and Feeling, and the other one is Intimacy and Consciousness. And she's a healer. She's a very wise woman. And when you are a part of her group, you are for sure going to have some movement of some things, because there's there's the sharing of a lot of people's stuff that is getting in the way of them moving forward in their lives. And how a lot of people are living is just very unconscious and in pain and anxiety and fear and guilt. And so in this workshop, there's a lot of movement of things, to gain clarity and to get closer to really living your life intentionally and on purpose, and which is what I wholly and only desire for myself and for you. And I have really been called into this ever since I was introduced to the personal development industry in 2003. I've always, no matter what happens in my life, no matter if I get detoured, which has happened on several occasions, I always end up back here. And it always feels like this is where I'm supposed to be. And there's always like some message that I get, and I always feel compelled to bring it to other people. And my natural desire to understand why people do what they do and how to live better, be better. And so, one of the messages that came for me during my session yesterday was, you have to say it. You have to speak it. Whatever it is for you. I was molested as a little girl. And I never said anything about it until my mom asked me. And there was just a lot of that has carried over into my life in a way that I didn't really get. I sort of thought I was over it. I don't know why. I went through counseling when I was a teenager, and I sort of thought I was over that. But then through this workshop yesterday, I realized that part of when I want to overeat, there's like a feeling that I get in my chest and my back. And so during the workshop, we had to close our eyes and we had to go into the feeling of what we feel when we want to overeat, where we feel it in our body. And then we had to go to what age we were when we felt that. It was something to that effect. And I remember I went to 5. When we were going through this process, I remember I went back to 5, and that's when I was molested. And then there was just the remembering that I was always quiet about it, and how that's carried over into my adult life, to where in a lot of areas I don't speak. A lot of people who know me, they think that I'm just, assertive, and I say what I want to say and I say what I mean. And I do, But there's a lot of times when I don't say anything. And oftentimes it's when it's like most sensitive and most intimate is when I don't say anything. And there was that came up for me yesterday, and the fact that when I need to speak, I don't speak. Um, for example, and I just realized this, and it's just so amazing. It's so powerful when you sort of dig into your habits. You don't recognize why you do the things that you do, and you just continue to live this life, same life repeatedly. And my last serious relationship, um, he did so much that I was unhappy about and that I disagreed with, and I didn't say anything. And then I remember a few months in, finally, I just blew up. I remember it. This was in 2007, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember where I was. I remember the time of day it was. I remember the emotion that I had behind it, and it was like this swelling. It was like this swelling all in my chest when I was finally just fed up with being quiet and not speaking my truth and how I felt about what was going on in the relationship. And it came up again for me. And see, that was what I mean by an intimate situation, is where I tend to not speak up. And then another very recent, like within the last 3 weeks, um, there was a situation with a company that I was working with, and I felt like I had been violated financially. And it took me a week to finally say something. And that workshop helped me to sort of see like where things that have happened in the past associated with my molestation as a child are coming up now, and it gets in the way of me being able to set up boundaries, to say what I need to say, to really sort of honor myself. And so I want to share this with you today so that you can, if you desire to really move forward in your life, if you want to stop living repeatedly in places of fear, of anxiety, of lack, of just unknowing, just this knowing that something isn't right with you, there's an exploration that needs to take place and an honesty that needs to take place, because it'll come out in different ways. You know, everybody has these characters that they live, and it's always an extension of something that they, are dealing with inside. And it manifests with everybody differently. And that's just one area for me that it comes up in my life. And I want to help people understand themselves, and I want people to push through and live better lives. And in order for me to do that, I have to understand what I do, why I do what I do, what is sort of controlling me, you know? And so this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm understanding myself, why I'm reading, why I'm asking, why I'm paying attention, why I'm doing this hard work, because it's so hard, which is why most people on the planet will not do it. Most people are very unconscious. They're living very habitually with a lot of pain. And just because someone is going to work every day and they dress nice and they smile doesn't mean that they're okay. Many of us have learned how to pretend well. We've learned how to cope with our pain. We've learned how to fake the funk. In the group that I was in yesterday, there was a woman who she lives with anxiety continuously, and she just cried and cried in the group, and I cried for her. I felt her pain. Everybody in the group did. It was so intense. Her mother never wanted her. She tried to kill her. Her brothers abused her, and her brother abused her. And to this day, he has never apologized. He was abused by his parents. He has cancer of the tongue, but guess what? He's head of works in the psychiatry department at Harvard. He's won all these awards nationally, and to the world, he's this esteemed, accomplished man. But he has basically learned to live with the pain that he experienced as a child. He never apologized to his sister. To this day, he won't allow his mother to come around him, and so he fights. And basically, his message is, "I'm not affected by that. I can, no matter what they have done to me, my parents, I can still live. I can still thrive. I can still do." But he's in all this pain. He has cancer of the mouth. Okay. And so, and that's another one point that I'm inspired to share now is when you have pain come up in your body in any way, whether it's just a little pain, headache, pain in your body, um, any kind of disease that comes forth, that is a signal, a message that something is off with you. And it's something. Even though it's painful, it's a great indicator. Your body and your spirit telling you that there's something out of whack with you. And so I do this work because I want to live full. I want to be clear. I want to do the hard work. I want to feel the pain. I want to understand why I do what I do, because then I can assist you in getting clear and understanding, because sometimes we just don't freaking know. And we're so bombarded with all these messages and media and responsibilities and families and just all this stuff that it's so easy to stay unconscious, also because you're probably working and living with people who are very unconscious and attracting more people who are dealing with the same pain that you're dealing with on a very subconscious level. And essentially, you guys keep each other there. You keep each other living in your pain subconsciously. And anybody who comes, you won't attract those people who are living conscious. You'll be attracted to them on a very sensory level, because naturally we all want to we want truth and we want to be connected, but sometimes the pain of that can be so intense we can naturally just, turn away or be turned off if something sort of touches us in a way that is bringing up stuff that's difficult for us to deal with. And I decided I'm not going to be afraid. I mean, or not that I'm not going to be afraid, but I'm going to feel the fear and push through it anyway, because I have to, because you have to. Otherwise, you're just going to be the walking dead. The people that are walking around just sort of aimless and producing this hatred and producing this senselessness, producing this lack, this anxiety. Oh, God, and it's hard work, and um, it's hard work. It really, really is. So, anyway, there are practices that I'm developing in my life on a daily basis. And on Saturday, I was introduced to this book I want to share with you, Buddha's Brain. And the woman who introduced it to me, she's actually my housemate. And um, she's been very moved by this book and some of the practices of simple things, some things that you may have heard of before, and some things that you may not have heard of before. One thing being, if you're feeling bad, maybe you can smile. And naturally, the brain registers that as positive. And that's one way, like if you need to pick yourself up immediately, like say you're going to a meeting or somewhere where you need to present some sort of an image that's contrary to how you really feel, you can smile to bring yourself an immediate sense of happiness, which obviously is a Band-Aid approach. You're just doing that because you need to get through whatever moment that is right then and there. But feeling through things and being very honest about those emotions. So say what you need to say. Say what you need to say. I have a quote in my 101 Courage quotes that I've curated. There's a quote, I'm going to find it now actually. It's say what you need to say even if your voice shakes. I wanted to look up who it was, but I don't want to take up the time and looking. So say what you need to say even if your voice shakes. All right? Naima Singletary here, BillionDollarCourage.com. Thank you.